we are seeing a plethora, an unbelievable amount of single bedroom units being built in the city, and that's not going to house families, folks, unless people start changing their lifestyles. And this is a problem the city of Toronto has, because every crane that goes up with a new condo, about 70% of those units are one bedrooms. So planning department, wake up. It's not going to work out long term. We're going to run into some major problems unless they're anticipating everybody's going to be single and have no kids. How are you going to raise a family in a one bedroom? It's just impossible, folks. These things are getting smaller. We're now looking at under 500 square feet, and it's going to create challenges, and it's going to just put more pressure on real estate values when rates come down and we start seeing folks needing more space. Now, on that front, they want to build more units. Everybody's talking about building more units. So I'm going to pick on the city of Toronto, okay? Because the red tape brigade is unbelievable. I printed out, double-sided, 2 pages to a page, okay? The 47-page Toronto Homeowners Guide to Building Permits, okay? The amount of BS that needs to happen to get a building permit is unbelievable. Folks, this needs to be cut down to maybe a fifth of this size, okay? This is not going to help build more units, folks, okay? And I'm going to give you an example. This is the type of stuff you need a building permit for, okay? If you are building a carport, you need a building permit. Any interior renovations regarding a basement finish, accessory apartments, if you need to alter your plumbing, you need a building permit. You want to put in a window or door, you need a building permit. You want to repair your drain, you need a building permit. You need a green roof, you need a building permit. You want to replace or fix your chimney, you need a building permit. Any cladding or brick or any veneer you add to the exterior part of your home, you need a building permit. Backwater valve installation, you need a building permit. And the fact is, and this goes on and on and on, the list is unbelievable, folks, okay? And these permits are in the same line as someone building new units. So going back to what I said the other week, we need an express lane for anybody that's building net new units in this city, and you need to make it easier for them. How do you go about this? Well, maybe you have to change the way things are done, okay? Maybe what you do is you create an application and you make sure that that application outlines every contractor, every licensed trade, make sure they have insurance, make sure they got their WSIB, and you put the onus on the professional trade to manage that project, okay? You don't need examiners that are green behind the ears holding up the process because they need to learn the code. And every old city in the amalgamated city of Toronto has different codes for every part of the city. Guys, just because there was an amalgamation didn't mean they amalgamated the codes. I had a guy in here, a person who owns a plumbing fixture company, that certain valves have to be different in different parts of the city because they didn't change the building codes in the various cities. So this is a major mess, okay? This is going to be the red tape brigade. It will continue to be the red tape brigade in the city of Toronto for anyone trying to build new units because the process is unbelievable. If you have engineers that need to be licensed, they have to be insured. Let them process, put their stamp on it. Let them take the hit if something goes wrong. Everybody has insurance, everybody has licensing requirements, everybody needs to maintain their courses, their continuing education processes to maintain their licensing. Let pros with insurance, licensing, and that sort of stuff manage the process and get out of the way. This is taking too long, folks. I had a contractor in today freaking out because he got stopped because a neighbor complained. This gentleman is converting a single family home in downtown Toronto to 4 units, okay? Has his permits. Neighbor does not like the pile of dirt next to the tree on the front. So they file a complaint. An inspector has to come out to the unit, complete a document, has to give it to the contractor, he has to comply. 10 days that inspector has to come out. That's your tax dollar being spent on idiocy. This is asinine, folks. The amount of BS that's in this system is absolutely crazy. And if anybody thinks that new units are going to be built fast, you're out of your fucking mind. It's not going to happen fast, folks. Okay? You have development charges. You have soft costs for builders in excess of 47%, okay, of the cost of a build. Just soft costs and government charges. So the cost of one property, one unit, is almost 47%, because all those soft costs are required to submit a permit. You need the conservatory board, you need a green plan, you need a drainage plan, you need a grading permit, you need all this BS, okay, to build. And they think it's going to happen fast. Folks, no developer is going to take the risk when their margin's shrinking and there's no market for people to pay top dollar. There used to be a time in 2016, developers' profit margins used to be between 10 and 15%. It's now shrunk to about 8 to 12%. And at interest rates at these levels, they're not taking the risk. They're just not going to build. They'll wait. They'll wait till everything settles down. But meanwhile, the government's still bringing in people, still flooding our border with people that need to be housed. Like, it's getting ridiculous. I'm on a bit of a rant today, but I've just had enough. I'm dealing with contractors that want to build. They have trades that are ready to go, but the system slows them down. And quite frankly, every week that goes by that they're waiting costs them money, because they have to finance these things. And when everything slows down, they just say, forget it, I'm not building. I'm not going to take the risk of bringing on employees and have them sit around doing nothing when everybody's slowing things down. Guys, we need change. We need to get these politicians to stay out of the way, okay? When you have the amount of regulatory, building codes, licensing, standards, that should be enough, okay? No engineer is going to put a stamp on a plan and risk losing their license. No plumber is going to do that if they have to stamp it and back their product because they have insurance, they have a business, they're trying to feed their families. Everybody will do what they need to do. Sure, there's one-offs, but do we change the system for all the one-offs? Like, we need to start using some common sense, and we have to start looking at term limits for all politicians, okay? We can't have these folks in these positions forever because their positions will never change. We just need to start asking for accountability. We need action, and we should demand respect for our tax dollar at every level, municipal, provincial, federally, okay? And we got to stop the finger pointing because it's getting ridiculous. Everybody's blaming somebody. Like, for fuck's sakes, how is the Liberal government blaming the Conservatives for all the car thefts? Fuck, the increase in car thefts happened the last few years, but they're blaming the previous Conservative. Like, it gets silly, guys. Come on, just fix the fucking problem. Let's solve it. Let's get tough on crime, and let's understand that these big criminal rings use young offenders to steal cars for them because they know they could just get let out the next day. So let's use some common sense. Let's get more stricter penalties. And if a young offender is old enough to drive, maybe they're old enough to serve some time too. If you're old enough to drive and steal cars, you should do the time. So let's figure it out, folks. We need help. We need everybody to stand up and ask for better. We're better than this. And we have a lot to protect because we're a great country. We just need people to start using some common sense and get away with all the fucking bullshit that everybody's talking about, all the noise. We got people starving. We got people in lineups at food banks at record levels. Cost of living's going through the roof. I hear people in trouble every day. And we just need to use some common sense. Let's eliminate all the BS, special interest group BS. Okay, let's get to the heart of the matter. We need people working. We need people being able to feed themselves, and we need people to make it through the end of the month before they run out of money, okay? Because it's just getting a little bit too tough. On to the TREB numbers. Here we go again. TREB, you gotta love these guys. Everything is rosy, okay? So if you had to look at the January TREB numbers, this annual increase has come across, so we are moving in a great direction according to TREB. This just came out February 6th. But here are my concerns. The average price of homes, TREB uses a year-over-year number. They say the price of a home is down 1%. I like going month to month. On a monthly basis, the average price has gone from $1,084,692 in December to $1,026,703, minus 5.3% down in 1 month. The values of homes are down 5.3%. No mention of that. No mention of that. No. Sales are up 22% on a month-over-month basis. And new listings from December to January, which kind of makes sense because a lot of people took their properties off the market in December, are up 114%. In December, we had about 3,886. Now we got about 8,312. So 114% increase in listings. Things are going to start to break. We're going to start seeing more and more folks struggle as these mortgage renewals come through. We've had a month of January. We're going into the February 1st renewals. People are dealing with the shock of the increase. We're going to continue to see that shock. And that increase in borrowing costs is going to cause some problems for inflation. Because as I mentioned before, inflation is getting very, very sticky. And if it continues to be sticky, the Bank of Canada's not lowering rates, okay? Like TIF, the static dragon, is made it clear that there's a problem. And monetary policy is not going to fix it, okay? If you lower rates, it's going to keep the real estate market hopping. He can't do that. He needs to figure it out. And the government's got to stop spending money. I think he really was pointed in his conference and document that the federal government needs to do more to control spending because inflation's getting out of control. So, you know, it is what it is. The bond market's kind of moving upwards. You know, in 1 week, it's up 35 basis points. Not a good sign for those seeking a rate decrease. We're probably going to be seeing higher rates for longer. I've talked about that. You got to respect the lag. It takes about 2 years for these interest rate hikes to do their damage and do their work. You know, we started increasing in March of 22, March of 2022. We haven't even hit 2 years yet. So it takes about that much time for everything to kick in, and we're starting to see things unravel. And unfortunately, we got to see some of that in real time for a while before this could really get any better. So as I've always said, prepare for the next 12 to 18 months. It's going to get really bumpy, and it's important that we all are ready and can withstand it so we can get past this, get through it, and move on and start figuring it out. On that note, let's get to the questions. So let's tighten the chin straps on the helmet, and let's get into your questions, a Q&A. What is the advantage of the first home savings account? Okay, well, this has come out a few years ago. Most of the lenders have now implemented the product at their branches. And this is one of those programs that the Liberals came out with to spur activity, okay? Not the best thing at this point in time, but it allows a first-time buyer to put away $8,000 a year to a maximum $40,000, okay, to be used towards their first home. Now, that $8,000 contribution could be used to deduct from your income like an RSP contribution. So you do get a tax relief and tax refund from that contribution. So it's a really good tool to utilize if your plan is to take advantage of these funds for a home down the road. So you have a runway of about 5 years at $8,000 a year. That'll contribute your $40,000, and you could use it towards the purchase of your home. When you withdraw it, it's not repayable, like the RSP home buyer program, which is over a 15-year period after you buy. So I believe it's a great tool. I think it's something everybody should consider. And there is an advantage, because if you're in a 30% tax bracket, you could get $2,400 refund that you could contribute into an RSP that could be used towards a home buyer's plan, which would trigger another tax return as well. So I really like the product. I think it's a good tool for people to set that foundation of savings for their home, and you get a refund back, which will in turn help you build that down payment even further. So it's like an accelerant if you think about it, and I really recommend it. So hopefully that answers your question. How do I know what down payment I will need to buy my first home? Okay, well this is a little bit tricky, because in order to know what down payment you need, we're going to need to know what you qualify for. So the minimum down payment's one thing, but you got to still qualify for the mortgage. So what we always tell our clients that are looking to buy their first home is to get pre-qualified. Okay, we have many clients that reach out to us on a regular basis looking to find out what they qualify for. And what we do is we get a full assessment of their income confirmation. So we make sure we validate exactly how much they make, whether they're self-employed, salary, on contract, and we start accumulating that information to underwrite the mortgage and see how much they qualify for a mortgage. We then assess how much down payment they have. If they are purchasing a home under $1 million and they qualify for a CMHC type mortgage, they would require less than 20% down. In some cases 5%, up to a minimum of 7.5% if they're buying to the full extent of that $1 million. Because they will need to have 5% down of the first $500,000 purchase price and 10% of any amount over $500,000 to that 999,999 number, okay? And they still have to qualify for the mortgage. So it's a bit of a situation where you need to get all the information, and once you know what they qualify for and you add how much they need, it'll give you a game plan as to how much you need to accumulate or save or have in savings to purchase that home. So what I encourage people to do is, if you are in the process of looking to buy a home, get pre-approved first. Understand that there is a stress test you have to qualify under, and it'll be a moving target, because if rates move up or down, that stress test will apply. And rates that are held for pre-approvals are primarily for 120 to 130 days, okay, depending on the lender. So hopefully that answers the question. If you need any help, reach out. We'll be happy to walk you through. We got a great team here that can assist you, and we'll help you out. When do you think rates will come down, and should I buy now? The $64,000 question. As far as rates are concerned, I think we're going to be higher for longer. I think we're going to be flat for quite some time, but it will pose a great opportunity to purchase because there's not as many people in the market. If you are a fully qualifiable client that can access mortgage debt and you have a strong down payment, you might have a situation where there's less people looking for homes, and you may have a better try at it. And you can lowball. You know, you're not up against a lot of multi-offers, a lot of bidding wars. It seems like things have really come to a slowed pace right now, and the buyer's at the advantage. With higher rates comes less people that are looking, and that could pose an opportunity for people that are ready to pounce and need shelter and need to buy a home. But then again, you need an aggressive realtor that's going to be in your corner and looking out for you. So if you are buying now, you can put in your financing condition. You can put in an inspection clause. And if people representing you aren't keen on that, they're not looking after your best interest and not fully grasped of the market, unless it's a highly desirable property that everybody's trying to bid at. But keep in mind, there's still a lot of tactics being played where they're underlisting and expecting multiple offers. I would try to stay away from that if you can, and try to focus on properties that have been listed for a while that give you an opportunity to deal with the seller on a one-to-one basis. And it makes for a more comfortable process because you're taking your time. You're not making decisions in the spur of the moment at the 11th hour. They're keeping you up late at night to try to tire you out. They're not using those tactics. So make sure you deal with a pro that's looking out for your best interest. I know some realtors out there aren't going to like that I say that, but the reality is you are in the driver's seat. Deal with a pro realtor that will be looking after your interest. What are some of the programs available to first-time buyers that can help them get into the first home? Well, this is similar to the other question I got, but there's the first home savings account. That's, I think, a great new tool. There's the traditional RSP program. So the RSP home buyer program, you could withdraw up to $40,000 to purchase a home. So if you're building up your RSP, you can withdraw that. But it does have a caveat. You do have to repay 1/15 of that amount every year, starting 2 years after you buy. And there's the tax-free savings account, because you can start using your tax-free savings account to accumulate your portfolio without having to pay any capital gains or taxes on the savings. So those three items are probably key. I would prioritize them as the first home savings account first. Once you maxed out on that, RSP, tax-free savings account. 2 and 3 could probably be alternated depending on your tax situation and your tax rate, but they could definitely help you out in that regard. So on that note, I want to thank everybody for tuning in. I really appreciate everybody sending me DMs, and thank you so much for supporting the YouTube channel at Owl Mortgage. I really, really appreciate that. I never thought I'd gain that many subscribers, as well as have that many views on some of these posts. But I'm excited to tell you we're still recording some podcast episodes that I'm going to be launching in the very near future. And I am so excited because the product looks really great. I have a great film crew. So hats off to Mike and Matt for helping me with that. And our guests are dynamite. They're a lot of fun. And we're going to accumulate a bunch before we start posting, so that way we have that continuous flow of episodes and not run into any vacation problems or whatever the case is. So I'm really excited about that. Please look out for that. I'll give you more details. And to all those folks that have the opportunity to help out, please donate any non-perishable goods to your local fire hall. I know I got a couple DMs saying, Daily Bread Food Bank could also use money. So if you have that option, go to their website, donate money so they could buy what they really need. But those fire halls will deliver any non-perishable goods that you drop off to them to the Daily Bread Food Bank to help the record level of visitors going to food banks. On that note, thank you. Do your best to help out if you can, and we'll see you next week. Take care.